Hello, Nature Buddies. Welcome to another segment of One-on-One Green Zone Youth with Youth for Nature, a thought-provoking short segment to hear from our leaders and speakers and post tough questions on what matters most for nature and for us all. We are now joined by Nevins and Niamh McCarthy from Climate Advisors, who will help us dig deeper into corporate responsibility for nature. Can you please introduce yourselves and your organization, and then we'll get into questions?
Yes, of course. So I can go first. I'm Niamh McCarthy. I'm a senior ESG analyst at Climate Advisors, so working on environmental, social, and governance issues across a variety of projects. But we're really excited to talk to you today about Lucida, which is our new data transparency tool.
So my name's Sean. I'm the product manager for Lucida. I have a background in product and marketing, and I've been mainly focused on Lucida here at Climate Advisors.
So what were your motivations for joining the Nature for Life Hub?
Yeah, so one of the main reasons we're here today, obviously very enthusiastic about conserving biodiversity. And one of the ways that we're trying to do that as part of Climate Advisors is working on this new data-centric transparency tool. We're trying to combat tropical deforestation linked to agricultural commodities. And the tool is called Lucida, which comes from the Latin word of clarity or light. And we're currently in the process of testing our beta version of the site right now. And we really just wanted to come talk to you about how young people can get involved as we build and test the site, but also eventually, use the site to understand some of the companies and financiers that are linked to tropical deforestation when it's publicly released. So our emphasis really, as part of Lucida, has been on creating some clear, interactive, easy-to-use visualizations. And we're trying to kind of quickly add context around some of these key drivers of deforestation and biodiversity loss in the regions that we're working on. So we don't want it to be this, major complex web that you can only really understand by spending a ton of time in either a Bloomberg terminal or some other, expensive financial services. So we're trying to make it a little bit more accessible and easy to use. And we're starting with some of the regions of the world that have an outsized impact in terms of biodiversity loss. So Indonesia, for example, makes up only about 1% of the Earth's surface, but it's home to about 17% of bird species, 12% of mammal species, 10% of plant species. So we're really looking at these regions like Indonesia and Amazon that have a major impact in terms of biodiversity conservation if we're able to protect them and reduce deforestation in these regions. And with that, we're also looking at some of the target commodities that operate within these regions, and those include palm oil, soy, and beef. So that's kind of the gist of what we'll talk to you about today. We really just want to raise awareness of these issues, get as many people on board as we can, and contribute your input as we build the tool and your expertise and your experience, and also provide data and hopefully be helpful to young activists in the future as they try to drive change, and we can provide data through our tool in the future when it's publicly released.
Thank you so much. We're very excited to hear from you. What do you see as the future for nature and biodiversity?
Yeah, so I mean, this is a really good topic. I think it's very easy to get pessimistic here. The past 50 years, we've seen the world's ecological footprint rise by about 190%. We've already altered about 75% of the Earth's surface. So of course, there's a lot to this problem. We're by no means, saying that it's simple or easy to solve. But, we want to help with one of the puzzle pieces. And I think that it's really positive recently that biodiversity has increasingly been in the spotlight, especially this year in public discourse, in reports from financial institutions, even discussions around COVID-19 and how we can prevent pandemics in the future. So hopefully that, will make a difference. And that in turn, I think, is driving some companies and financiers to kind of spend more time evaluating and quantifying their reliance and their impact on biodiversity around the world. So there's a lot of kind of drivers here, but I think it's important to note that we do derive a significant amount of economic value from ecosystem services like climate regulation, preventing erosion and disease, ensuring access to clean water and pollination. So when you look at commodity-driven deforestation, especially in tropical rainforests, when some of these actors deforest and even set fires to clear vegetation for agribusiness, they may see some short-term benefits, but in the long term, they are degrading, the very ecosystem services that are responsible for their own success and the sustainability of their business models. So, over time, the soil can start to dry out. They might need more pesticides and further threaten their water supply. So, we really need to raise awareness here and enact change in terms of how much portfolios and companies rely on these services that are provided by nature, but also, really importantly for Lucida, use transparency to kind of increase the materiality of some of these financial risks that companies face as a result of their contributions to deforestation. And just a kind of high level, overview of some of those risks. We cover it actually in another project very heavily in Climate Advisors, both in Orbitas, a partner project, and Chain Reaction Research, if you're interested in learning more. But some of these risks include, reputational damage, which can impact market value, souring some customer relations, consumption patterns can change, which impacts sales. Even access to credit can be jeopardized as some of these financial institutions are incentivized to mitigate, their long-term risks themselves. So we're looking at all of these different risks, even financial or like regulatory and legal risks as international pressure kind of forces countries to change and conserve more areas. So we're looking at these risks. Financiers are increasingly looking at these risks, but they only actually materialize if people know what companies are doing and who is linked to those companies. So the theory of change with Lucida is really that accountability and transparency are intrinsically linked, and that transparency drives accountability. So we're leaning into the idea that, if we aggregate and disseminate this kind of continuously updated data and increase transparency around some of these companies and financiers that are linked to deforestation, we can allow NGOs, campaigners, activists like yourselves to use this data and, drive accountability within these industries that are, impacting deforestation so heavily. So that's kind of the general theory of change. I know it's kind of a broad area, so we're just one puzzle piece, as I say, but it's really exciting to kind of be in a position where we can help.
Thank you so much. And I agree, accountability is so important, especially for right now. So for the next question, I know you've talked a little bit about this already, but so what action are you taking to be part of the solution?
I think I can take that. Yeah, so maybe if I share my screen, I can kind of show you a little bit of what we're doing. Great. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I was worried I was muted. Yeah, so one of the biggest actions Climate Advisors has taken is investing in building out what Niamh has been talking about, Lucida. And here's the website, and you can go to it now, but it hasn't actually officially launched yet. So this is a really sneak peek. So the viewers are kind of lucky. There's a lot of information on this website. There's information about countries. There are visual stories. There's updates about Lucida. But really the heart of our initiative is this tool. And here's the tool page. You can right now you can go in here and you can learn about Lucida, the tool, what it is and what it does. But you can go directly into the tool itself, although you actually won't be able to right now. It's password protected, but here, whoops, I have the password. We're still in a development phase, so we're working on different aspects of the tool, and right now we're doing a lot of reach out. So that's why it's still password protected. And so I just want to take a step back, kind of reiterate a little bit of what Niamh said, but the idea of Lucida is to really empower groups, campaigners, journalists, law enforcement, and young people that are focused on environmental campaigns with information about the different economic actors who are benefiting directly or indirectly from deforestation. And currently, so this is the tool page, and we've currently got it broken up into curated stories while we develop the tool further. So right now there's 4 stories on the site: major palm oil groups, top palm oil financiers, palm oil groups with the most RSPO allegations, and the RSPO is just a body that creates standards for sustainable palm oil. Lowest ranked Forest 500 palm oil groups, and the Forest 500 is a site that ranks the biggest companies in forest risk supply chains. So we've broken these up into 4 curated stories, because here's a lot of the data that we use. It comes out here, and putting all this data into one place could get really messy with lots of different nodes and lines, and it would almost look like spaghetti and meatballs. So a user might not know where to start. So we built these curated ways of going into a tool. And over time, we're going to add more entry points to give other users the ability to access everything. But for now, we mainly want to demonstrate the power of the data and functionality that the tool will have. So, and what I mean by like add entry points, let's say you're an organization, you're a youth group, and you hear about a specific company, we want to make it later so that you can come in and type in that company and then see all the connections to it and see other types of connections as well. But right now it's curated stories based on some of the most important information. And all this is about palm oil at the moment, but we're gonna do other commodities in the future, like Niamh just said, soy, cattle, rubber, coffee, but this is the best data so far. So the page has several parts to it. It has a tool at the top. You scroll down, you have an overview of risk factors associated with Indonesian palm oil. So this is all focused on Indonesia right now. That's like our kind of pilot country at the moment. And then at the bottom of the page, there's related content, which are stories that pull insights from this page. And I'll show you one of those as well. The incredible thing I think about Lucida is that everything here is in one spot. You don't have to go to several different like financial databases to track down who, what, and how companies and financiers are connected to land use. So if I go back up to the top and I look at the tool, I can see here that there's a network of 10 companies, and this is pulling on live data sets, which are continually updated. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can see all the players in the space, and down here, there's a legend to orient you. So if I zoom in a bit, I'm just gonna do an example, and I go over this Vanguard, a big financier, I can look at the legend, and I can see that there's a bunch of different information in the legend, but I can see that this little green box, let me pull it over here a little bit, it shows that that Vanguard has a connection to this company over here. So I'm already getting some insights from this tool, which is really fascinating. And the tool, it gives other information too. So if I go around, I can click on this company here, and then a little box opens up. And it has a bunch of information, including location, Forest 500 score, and sustainability allegations. And this is really meant to give a user a complete snapshot of the company's participation in deforestation. So if you're a youth group and you're like thinking about maybe Wilmar, you can come to this site and you can find out so much information immediately about what's going on, and you can build a campaign without having to go to a bunch of different websites and using a bunch of different financial tools. You could get this fact-based information right away and then run with it. So which I think is just fantastic. And there's other things you can do here too. You can like click and unclick these different node types, and the tool is immediately repopulated again as fast as a Google search, and that was kind of the whole idea. Another thing a user can do is they can scroll down the page and they can go to an individual company, which kind of minimizes the network, makes it easier to understand, and helps you focus. So like you might go to Vanguard, like you say, I want to know more specifically about Vanguard. So here I can zoom in a little bit, and I can see that any of these nodes here are nodes that are palm oil groups that Vanguard has ownership of. So then I have more information about Vanguard's connection to deforestation risk companies. And on this page too, maybe I don't know a lot about Vanguard yet. I can go down here. I got a company overview. I can also scroll down and see the ownership percentages for the palm oil groups that Vanguard has ownership of. And I can do that with any of these companies. And there's also quick facts right here.
I'm going to jump in really quick just because we only have a few minutes, and I think it's super important if you can kind of tell Scout and any listeners some ways that people on this forum can get involved, either in user testing or in the future.
Right, sure. Yeah, sorry if I was not aware of a time allegation. So yeah, the one thing that I would really love for anybody that's watching this to get involved is reach out to us. You can get on our website and you can come down here and you can put in your email address. You can reach out to myself or Niamh as well, and we'll get back with you. And we're really reaching out to everybody, doing engagement around the world right now in our priority countries, Brazil, Colombia, Peru, Indonesia, and we're looking for feedback. We want to build this for you. It's really a site of service to the user.
Thank you so much. I mean, I gotta say, Lucida is so cool. It's so cool. And I'm also, looking at the time, we have just a few minutes left. I'd like to hear from you. As a youth myself, I'd like to hear how you think we can empower and involve youth more.
Yeah, so, as Sean mentioned, there's plenty of ways specifically to get involved in Lucida. We should mention that the site is already live right now. The tool is password protected because we're going through user testing. There are many people, I'm sure, in this audience who would be great user testers or might like to get involved to give input, and we would love that for sure. So definitely reach out, sign up for our newsletters. We have a bunch of information coming out on companies. But also just in general, I think, it's easy to get discouraged in this area, but it's so kind of motivating. I think that younger generations, survey after survey, it shows that younger generations increasingly want companies, not only companies they work for, companies they buy from, I'm sure in the future companies they invest in, to have ESG at core at the center of their mission. So there's a lot of hope, I think, in this hub and in this platform. And I think I would just encourage people in the audience, right, to vote not only politically, but with your dollars, because it's easy to say, oh, we don't have that much of an impact. But when you look at a whole generation, the impact is quite outsized. And there's record-breaking funds into ESG funds right now. And, we have a lot of power to influence change. So it's been a pleasure talking to you today. And thank you so much for including us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, as a conclusion, thank you so much for your time with youth today. We encourage all young people to get involved with Lucida and work with climate advisors, and enjoy the rest of the hub.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.